Very good. So while that's coming up, so I do own and run Purse Power, and we're working to help women use their massive purchasing power to drive positive change. Women make 80% of all purchasing decisions. The idea is that if women collectively would choose to buy from the companies that actively promote women, companies that are women-owned or women-led, and if we could create a funding stream for battered women's shelters in the process, we could shatter glass ceilings and change lives. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. We are an Oklahoma-based company, and as you'll see in a minute, most of my investors are females. I have one male investor. His name's John Davis. Do you guys know John?
No.
No? Okay, he's here in Oklahoma City. Okay, I still can't get on yet. All right, give me just a second, we'll get started. So yeah, John just recently joined us. We've been, I'll give you the backstory. So you understand that there was this huge march in 17, and by the way, I'm apolitical, I'm dead center on the political spectrum. But when my sisters and I were talking about the lack of women in senior leadership positions, we came to this blinding realization that women had a ton of power that they weren't using. So when I saw the march in Washington, D.C., I said, okay, there they are. Those are the women that are going to care about what we're doing. So I took 30,000 buttons to the march that said, Purse Power, we have it, let's use it. And within minutes of setting up a table, I had 6 volunteers show up out of nowhere, and we gave away 30,000 buttons in 3 hours. And those buttons are now all over the world. So I've got a husband and 2 sons. I love men, love working with men. But what I'm trying to do is just help women use their purchasing power to drive change. So let me go ahead and try to see if I can do it now. So I still can't. Do you want to make me the host?
Yeah, so yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to make you the host. That way you can just, you can share your screen.
Okay, perfect.
There you go.
Thank you.
Should have just switched over.
Thank you, perfect. I appreciate it. So I was under the impression that it might help you guys to talk a little bit about women and investing and the interest in investing in women. So let me just begin here. You probably know this, but women control 50%, over 50% of all personal wealth in the United States today, and they're projected to hold 70% of the wealth in this country for the next 2 generations. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm a baby boomer, and we tend to live longer. Women tend to live longer. So that wealth, when the baby boomer males die off, is going to go over to women, and they are going to hold 70% of the wealth for the next 2 generations. In addition to that, 40% of the breadwinners in the US are now women, are led by women. And women also own 40% of the businesses in the US. Even though women now hold the majority of management, professional, and related positions, they only hold 6.4% of the S&P 500 CEO jobs and about 22% of the board seats. So again, this is one of the things that we were trying to do when we created Purse Power, was to enable people to use their purchasing power, male allies too, to support the companies that actively support women. Women are also getting educated right now and are getting the majority of all degrees. This is a really important point. So if you have a company of any kind, understanding that women, no matter what we make in pay, make 73 to 85% of all purchasing decisions, it's really important for people to understand that the consumers are women. The ones buying your products and services are, in the majority, women. Like Warren Buffett says, there's no telling how far we can go when we tap into the collective potential of the entire population. So just the business case for this, forget male, female, right thing to do. I don't care about that at the moment. When companies have 30% leadership, female leadership, their profit margins are higher. It shows that when you have an increase in women in top management from 0 to 30%, your profitability increases by 15%. Companies in the top quartile are 15% more likely to have financial returns above the industry average. And companies with 3 female directors have a 42% higher return on sales and 53% higher return on equity. So not just because it's a good thing to do, the companies with the highest percentage of women have the greatest return on invested capital. So it's just a good idea to support the companies that have women in leadership. And if you own companies to try to get more women in leadership, you theoretically should get more returns out of those companies. Now, there's some frustration here. If you think about it, women own 40% of the companies in the United States, but they get 2.7% of the VC investment. So there's this gigantic gap between the women business ownership and the investment that they're getting, particularly from VCs. What ends up happening, and this is by both male and female VCs, by the way, is when they're asking questions of the founders, The male-oriented the questions to the males tend to be about opportunities. The questions aimed at women tend to be about risk. So there's an unconscious bias. What they did is they actually taped VCs talking about female and male founders, and they used some kind of AI to actually analyze the language that was being used, and this is what was happening. And it's very interesting. They've taken business plans, and they've changed the name from Henry to Harriet. And 3 times out of 4, they will pick the business plan, same business plan that's got the male name on it. So there's an unconscious bias out there, and men and women both have that bias. I'm not saying that women don't, we do too. But just be aware of that bias when you're making your investment decisions, because there's research that proves that companies perform better when they've got some senior leaders that are women. So Morgan Stanley did a recent survey, and just for reference, women are also more interested in sustainable investing. They want to get more than just returns on their money. And so 84% of women have that interest, and I know the majority of my investors do. We want to make a difference with our money. Men are more likely to be more interested in the return on investment as well. Now, what you're finding is that the gender lens investing is increasing dramatically. 9 times the amount of money was invested in last June in gender lens mandated companies across 22 publicly traded products from 100 million in 2014. So organizations are getting more and more aware of using the gender lens as part of their investing decision. So if you care about this at all, if this is important to you, and I hope it is, please try to avoid the gender equity laggards, the ones that don't care about it or aren't even aware of it, or have an all-male board or have an all-male founding team, and they're not even considering the fact that they may want to include some women. Try to seek out diverse leaders when you can. And I would hope that you would invest in companies that seek to elevate women and girls, companies like Purse Power. So just quickly, I'm going to give you a high-level background about Purse Power, and I'll make it quick. What happened, again, we saw this gap between the representation of women in senior leadership positions and their economic power. And we thought, okay, what can we do to close that gap? And what we want to do, again, is reward the companies that support women with revenue. That's what we're trying to accomplish. Right now, there's no clear way to tell. If you were in a store or whatever, do you guys have daughters? I'm sure you have wives. You've got women in your life you care about. There's no clear way when you're going to the store and you're buying something right now to say, okay, which companies actively promote women? How can I choose to use my buying power to support these companies? Purse Power is trying to create that way for you to know when you're making your buying decisions. And then in addition, just as a cause also, and part of this had to do with, we care about this, but also we thought that this might drive people to change their buying behavior. We do want to support battered women's shelters in particular with a revenue stream coming out of Purse Power. So we've created a national directory of over 750,000 women-owned and women-led businesses. Those are companies that have a female CEO or president, or are half owned by women, or have at least 20% women on their board. So we're not being unreasonable. That bar is not a lie. What we want to do is become the source to find and buy from women-owned and women-led companies if people are interested in doing that. We've created a web and mobile platform that enables shoppers to find them whether they're shopping online or they're shopping physically nearby to know which companies those are and which products those are. And again, we've created this social cause as well. So we did partner with Carnegie Mellon. We've created this very large directory of women-owned and women-led businesses. We partnered with Carnegie Mellon to build a Google Chrome extension that goes on your Google Chrome browser. So as you're shopping, our logo appears next to the companies that are women-owned or women-led so that you can tell who you might want to buy from. And then again, our apps will show you when you're physically near them on a map. We've got coupons they can do, and this is something that we're building out greater functionality around. And again, we're Edmond-based. We're here in Oklahoma. These are some of our investors. I don't know if you guys can see the names, but Sue Ann Arnell, Martha Berger, names you might know, Jill Costilla, Denise Castelli, John Davis I mentioned, Jackie Fiegel, Deborah Fleming, Jennifer Grigsby. I'm sure you know some of these names. Linda Hanneborg, Jennifer Love Meyer. Let's see here, anybody else you'd want to know about? Jan Peary. So we've got women from across the US. The majority of our investors are here in Oklahoma. And when you talk about how we came to find these investors, I've had relationships with many of these people for years, and we've done investment related events. And these folks are bringing in their colleagues because they want to make a difference. They care about having an impact. Bottom line, these are women that want to leave a legacy. That's who they are. And we're all here trying to make a difference for women. This
Great.
is our,
Thank you.
yeah, go ahead.
Was there a question? All right, Donna, thanks very much for your presentation. And I think we can all take something from that. And I don't have daughters, but I have granddaughters. And I know they're growing up in a world where they're going to have opportunities that females of my age bracket did not have.